Hello, it is Fabian Williams, marriage and family therapist with lifeanew.com. That's lifeanu.com. And I have a new installment, and the question is, how do I know I need therapy? Speaking to the Jesus and therapy girl, I say everybody could benefit from therapy, but we know that some people won't go unless they have an issue. So these are some of the issues that could lead you to go. These are some of the things that could help you to say, I should probably get an impartial third party in here so that I can talk through this. Verbally processing is good. Again, I often say that therapists do not have the answers for you. We do not give advice. We are trained not to give advice. However, we are there to stir up those answers that God has placed inside you because He has placed them inside you. You just need someone, an impartial third party that can allow you to verbally process so that you can bring them to the surface. So with that, I start. How do I know I need therapy or could benefit from therapy? First of all, are you eating more than usual? Are you eating less than usual? Are you sleeping more than usual? Are you sleeping less than usual? These are some of the signs that could say, hey, I might need to look at some outside help here. If my eating habits are changing, if my sleeping habits are changing. I know over COVID, some people had a lot of insomnia, and I was one of them. But that was normal for that time. And I know the pandemic has not ended, but we're kind of at a comfortable place, more comfortable place, let me say. That's not fair to say for everyone. But if your sleeping habits have changed incredibly, if your eating habits have changed incredibly, you need to probably be looking at talking to someone about that, especially a medical doctor. If your emotions are haywire, if they're up and down, up and down, up and down, and you just can't control them, like mood issues, if you have an extremely short fuse for things that didn't used to bother you, or if you're finding yourself bottling things up so much that you just want to explode, or you're finding yourself exploding on the wrong individual. Some people save it. I work with a lot of couples, and a lot of times they save the frustration that they're bottling up on the job for the people at their house, the people that they actually love. We know this is displacement, but at the same time, it's the safe place that you can express that, and you don't want to destroy relationship like that. That's a place where you probably want to talk to someone. Another thing, if I don't want to do the things that I used to do, if I have no desire, absolutely no interest, no desire in doing those things that I used to love to do, probably need to question what's going on inside me. If I begin to isolate, I don't want to be around anybody I used to be around. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to answer the phone. I don't want to socialize. All of those things are questionable things that can say, it may be nothing, but it may be something. So taking it to a therapist would be a wise choice. If your mind runs, if you feel like your mind is on a hamster wheel, even though you're trying to sleep, if you're trying to sit there and concentrate, you're trying to read your word or trying to do something effective, and your mind is just doing its own thing, these are times to check in. If you ruminate, if you find yourself dwelling on something to the point where you have either fortune told the whole story out before you even address the situation, or you just feel so much stress and anxiety around that conversation, around that problem, around that situation, these are things you want to probably address with a therapist. Concentration. Are you losing or can't keep your concentration? I remember being in school and trying to concentrate, being a quote unquote good student. But then in the midst of my grief, I found myself not being able to listen to a lecture, not being able to take notes as someone was talking. I had to tape the lecture and play it over and over and over again for me to get. Those were times that I found I needed help. If you feel completely overwhelmed, feeling like your plate is so full and overflowing that there's nothing else I can potentially take on, and I can't even do anything with anything that I have on my plate now, that's an area where you want to talk to someone. If you're feeling overwhelming sadness, if you're feeling that level of, I am so sad about everything, if you find yourself crying at things that are just not things that you used to cry about, if you find yourself just low, just, I don't know what it is, but I'm always operating at 60% or lower, even lower, those are times to address those things with a therapist. If you find yourself stuck, I am stuck. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to change this situation. I know there probably is a way to change it, but I don't know what to do about it. That's a place where you can talk. If you find yourself feeling hopeless, feeling like there's nothing I can do to make this better, life is never going to get better, I am in a dark place, there is no light at the end of the tunnel because I can't even see past where I am in this tunnel, those are times to talk to a therapist and bringing that up, that suicidal ideation, suicidal ideas, suicidal thoughts, all of those things are places to talk to a therapist. And this doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. What is the woman's name? She was the Surgeon General of California. She wrote the book, The Deepest Well. Cannot think of her name at the moment, but if you look up The Deepest Well, you can find her. And please give me a shout out to tell me, to remind me, because my mind is a little older than I want to believe. But she said, it's not what's wrong with me, it's what happened to me. So a therapist can help you to process what happened to you so that you can get out of this stuck and hopeless and dark place. And, those suicidal thoughts and things that come, these are the enemy's ways of tricking you into believing that God does not have light, that there will not be, sunshine at the next day, that, what is it? Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. That's the enemy's way of telling you that this is not a truth. And we know that the word is true. And if the word is true, then it has to be that joy will come in my morning. But the enemy tries to get you stuck so that you don't see that. Excuse me. So that's something to address with a therapist. Another thing is memories. Those memories, childhood memories that might come up and kind of invade your mental space. Those are areas to talk through. And patterns of ways of doing. And I think I kind of talked about that, but those doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results. How do I work myself out of this pattern? This is what I've done for many, many years. It is embedded. So breaking this pattern, breaking this habit is going to take doing it for many, many years, for many, many habitual practices, because you've developed this pattern. So give yourself credit for the little things, the little progress you make, looking at the amount of time that you've spent in that pattern. There are many, many more, but this is just a starter list to get you to thinking about, how do I know if I need therapy? And you can benefit from it even if you don't have an overwhelming, overarching problem, situation, scenario. So think about getting yourself a good, qualified therapist that can help you work through some of those problems that you've been dealing with, or situations or scenarios, or thinking of things differently, changing your perspective, shifting. I call it the perspective shift. And that is it for me. I am Fabian Williams, marriage and family therapist with lifeanew.com. That is LIFEANU.com, because your new life truly does await. Have a blessed